Astonishing Legends Network.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You're listening to part 2 of the Light in the Dark Tour wrap-up. And before we get started, I just want to once again thank everybody who helped us make this tour a reality. Of course, starting with Jeff Walmsley from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the guy who puts together the Mothman Festival and runs the Mothman Museum. If you get a chance, definitely swing by there and visit. And he's the one who really kind of kicked the whole thing off, because if he hadn't invited me, we wouldn't have suddenly got all excited about traveling around and taking our show on the road. I really also want to thank, and I didn't get to mention him in tonight's show, but Cullen Gallagher, my friend. This guy, when he heard that I was having trouble finding a place in New York, he spent days, because he's a musician. He's performed in New York and in Brooklyn where he lives. And so he just kept sending me, like on text, just, have you tried this place? What about this place? What about this place has a stage? This place might be good. And he must have sent me 20 different places, eventually sending me the lead on the Heart Bar, which is where we ended up going. So Cullen, thank you so much. If you guys want to check out Cullen and his music and his writing, go to our show notes. He just the greatest guy. I finally got to meet him in person. He's a podcast friend who became real. And Scott Philbrook and Tess Pfeifle, of course, from the Astonishing Legends Network. So great meeting Tess. But you guys, if it wasn't for you, the Washington show would not have happened. Thank you so much for getting Kramer's books. That was a coup. That was wonderful. And thank you for your generosity in making the whole tour a success. Obviously, I want to thank Leo and Janice Bartoldus for offering up their house and their haunted house and making the end of the tour the crown jewel of the whole experience. It was so fun. Owen, of course, we got to see Owen, and you'll hear more about that. But thank you for all the help, Owen. You really jumped in and helped out your folks. So thank you. What a good boy. And and then of course Susan. And you guys, if you like hearing Susan and I talk, or you like hearing Susan talk, check out 80s TV Ladies. That's her podcast. And it's wonderful. If you love 80s culture, the music, the TV shows, the movies, really check it out. The interviews are second to none. I mean, there are people on her show that have never done interviews ever. No one's asked these women to speak out about what it was like to write and act and produce and direct in the 1980s. So it's a really fun show. I definitely think you should check it out. And then finally, go to the show notes. I just want to point you toward this. Henry Bartoldus, Leo and Janice's son, he's a close-up magician. Check out the video that we've linked in the show notes. It's really fun because it's not on him. He's doing card magic. It's on the people who are experiencing it, and they are freaking out. It's really fun. It's very funny to see the way people react when the card shows up in a place where it shouldn't be. Anyway, so check it out. And to all the fans who came out to the shows, thank you. If I don't mention you by name in the show, you are not forgotten. Your impact was felt. You made an impression for sure, and you made the tour a success. So thank you for all of that. Come on back next week when we start the last 2 episodes of the season. It'll be next Friday and then the Friday after. The Siren Call of Hungry Ghosts Part 1 and Part 2, specially selected for the Halloween season. I think you will. I think you'll enjoy it, and also it will disturb you deeply. Okay, that's all I have to say. And with no further ado, here we go. we load the stuff. You reorganize all the stuff by size, all the shirts. We get everything packed away. We've maybe emptied out a box. We throw it all back into the rental car because now we're on the way to Washington, D.C.
6 hours, baby.
And 6 hours pretty much straight across West Virginia. We saw it. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the country.
It was really beautiful. It's very, and again, we saw all sorts of sides of it: the rolling hills and the, the horse farms, and then the more Appalachia mountainy, the green and the, I don't know. It was really cool. That was I kind of knew we'd see the countryside, but I forgot how long we were going to be driving. So that was really neat.
Well, and it was strange for me because in this age where you just put in your destination and then you're just looking at your phone, so you really only know the couple miles that you're in. I never got a bird's eye view of the path we were taking. And suddenly we cross into Maryland and I'm like, well, how are we in Maryland? I thought we were going to DC. Maryland's on the other side of DC. I don't know what's happening. Or I thought.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing this big loop into Maryland and then coming down through Silver Spring. So we sort of descended upon Washington, D.C. from the north. And
a very strategic way to approach Washington, D.C.
Right. Yeah, we're like, we're going to come in a different way. Anyway, we get there and all I'm concerned with is we've got a reservation at the Tabard Inn Hotel and dining room that night. We are meeting with Scott Philbrook, and I will be meeting for the first time Tess Pfeifle and her boyfriend, Steve. So I'm like, and suddenly it's like taking longer than we thought. I'm like, we got to get there. We got to get there. We have dinner reservations. I want to see these people. So we got there in plenty of time. And Scott, of course, first of all, it's one of these old Washington inns, which is very old, and
it's
like these little
oldest,
rooms. And
I read the pamphlet. It's the oldest continuously operating hotel in DC.
Okay, which makes it fantastic because it's like in an old house, and you're constant. There's all these switchbacks and narrow staircases and odd rooms tucked away.
I think it is, and Scott and I were talking about this. We think it is 3 townhomes that were basically put together to create the full hotel. So it may have been one hotel that was like a townhouse, and then they expanded into the next door, and then they expanded again. That's what I think happened.
But it all looks so old. Like none of it looks like it was beyond 1890 or something. I don't know. It seems old to me.
It was. I'm talking about this happened.
Holding the pamphlet. Oh my God.
This happened. You can kind of see that there's 3 buildings.
Yes.
So I think this happened in the olden days. Maybe before it was called a townhome. Maybe it was called something else.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So we got there and Scott is there and there's this really dark meeting room with a fireplace. And I walk in and Scott is sitting in the darkest corner and he just stands up and walks to me and leans over and goes, "I'm handing you this envelope full of cash, and I expect you to vote the way we have discussed." And I look at him and he starts laughing. He's like, "I just always wanted to do that when I was in Washington. I just thought that'd be a really cool thing." So I'm like, okay, that's great. Now that we've had your "I'm buying someone's vote" joke, which of course was pretty funny. We go straight to the bar.
It used to be funnier. Okay.
We go straight to the bar. And we're sitting at this old bar and we're drinking. And now I'm like, oh, okay. Because listen, all the places we've been so far are beautiful and lovely and the people are great, but I'm City Mouse and I need a hotel and I need a hotel bar and I need a martini glass and a guy in a vest serving it to me. And that's what I got at the Tabard Inn. And now I'm feeling like, okay, back to civilization. So we have our drinks. We have dinner. Tess Pfeifle walks in. I've never met her. She is exactly what I had hoped for. She is just as funny and kind of smart and energetic and on it and full of any information you could want about really anything, but especially Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it was really cool to meet her and Steve. That was really exciting. That was very exciting. I know many people asked for Scott and especially Forrest when we were at the Mothman Festival and were sorely disappointed. And I was very, very always happy to see Scott, but having never met Tess, that was awesome. And Steve was fantastic.
Wait, someone came up to you at Mothman specifically looking for Forrest
Yeah.
Burgess.
Yeah.
What? This was when I was going and doing my thing. What was the?
So
It was like
it was a couple
borderline stalker.
It was a couple that's older than us, and she was like, "I just want to know if Forrest is here." And I was like, "Forrest Burgess?" And she said, "Yeah, Forrest Burgess." And I said, "No, but Scott will be in Washington D.C. tomorrow, and or in 2 days." And she's like, Forrest is the cute one.
I love it. Scott's pretty cute.
Scott is pretty cute.
So, for someone to come out that strong for Forrest has got to be really, there's a lot of people I think there's probably fan fiction about Forrest out there somewhere. People really love Scott, but people have a weird sort of obsession with Forrest, which is probably why he's hiding at all times.
Anyway, but back to Scott and Tess and Steve. That was really fun. That night was really fun. I was a little bit nervous because my drink was a little bit disappointing, if I must say.
Look,
both Scott and I ordered the same thing, and then we were like, "This isn't that." But then food.
We just kept ordering.
Great. We kept ordering, and we got to good drinks. So.
That's what you got to do. When you get a drink that isn't exactly what you think it's supposed to be, either have the bartender fix it right away, like I did. Like if my martini isn't dirty enough, I'll just say, "Can I get some more dirty in this?" And they always get it. They're like, "Yeah." Usually they'll bring it on the side in a little sidecar jar, and they'll let me add it to my taste. But that's the thing about drinks. You don't like the one you're drinking, set it aside. Get one you do like. Don't get drunk on something you don't like.
Or you don't have to get drunk too. You can drink to just enjoy yourself. Anyway, but
you know
enough
what
about
I'm
that.
Saying.
Let's go back. I want to talk about the Tabard Inn Hotel and the restaurant there. It's like so many restaurants in DC where it has these low ceilings.
Yes.
And various entrances and exits. Like I feel like so many restaurants in DC feel like this. They're dark. Low
ceilinged. Cozy. They're really. I like it because it's cozy. That's why I wanted it to be colder.
Anyway, it wasn't colder, and I also liked our room, which was very old, but didn't feel uncomfortable.
No, it was pretty good. And the bed was good. It was not
just
a
and we had a fireplace
stuffed with.
I don't think it worked, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, we didn't get to use the fireplace, but that the Tabard was great. Meeting Tess was amazing. Meeting Steve was great. And it's so funny because Steve is clearly, it's like, personally, I think this is a good couple because Tess is sort of a mile a minute and Steve is like a word every 10 minutes. And I'm like,
well, we had a lot to say to each other. I got it.
No, I'm not saying he didn't have something to say, but he's said it. The idol isn't set as high as Tess's. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like,
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Being with somebody whose idol is set a little higher than yours. I don't know anything about that.
All right. But that's why it works, though.
Well, what's funny is sometimes your idol goes low and mine goes high.
Yeah, that's good. That's as long as someone's high and someone's low, we meet.
Anyway, but what I was excited about was to see Kramer's Brooks.
Oh, yeah. So the next morning, well, again, see, a lot of this was we have to check out the facility where the performance is going to take place. We got to make sure, solve problems, check the lighting, check the sound. Is there traffic noise coming in through the window? Like, what is this room? So we got to Kramer's Books. They led us right up to the room, you, me, and Scott. We check out the room, and then we sat in the room for the next 3 hours talking.
It was so funny. And I don't even think they'd let us in the room. We just literally walked through the bookstore and then we walked upstairs because Tess is like, I think it's up here. And then we opened a door and that was the room. And we just sat there. And then eventually someone came.
Right. What are you doing up here?
The manager came and was like, oh, this is the place. But then we just got to hang out there. It was amazing.
It was great. The room, it was kind of like long rectangular. And then at the front, there was sort of a little divot off to it was sort of L shaped in a weird way.
It was more of like a like that. It like did, yeah, right. It was a little L shaped.
Yeah. Cause it's just sort of like kind of went off to like a little fish hook off to one side, which was fine. I mean, I've performed in every shape and size room that you can imagine. So I'm just like, well, I'll stand at the front, but I'll just sort of be tilted a little bit so I can naturally talk to the people off to my left and then talk to most of the people who will be basically right in front of me, slightly to my right. And, but that room was packed. I mean, when we set up the chairs, it's like, we're barely going to get the people in here. In fact, we didn't, because once we did the show, it was you and Scott and Tess and Kayla Lord, the webmaster,
standing in the back.
You guys were all standing in back in this little alcove where you guys had set up the merch table with the chapstick and the t-shirts and the mugs and all that stuff.
And it was great to hang out with Tess and Scott and Kayla and meet her for the first time. And it was in some ways the easiest stop for me because I had so much help and so many friends on the ground there.
And there were friends in the audience, friends of mine, and there were people obviously who were familiar with the podcast, people who knew me, who knew Scott, who knew both from both podcasts. So now, so here's one of my favorite things. And Cecily, if you're out there, reach out to the group, reach out to me. This one woman came in with this big bag, and it was filled with individual pink boxes, each one with a designer cupcake. She brought cupcakes for everybody.
She brought 35 cupcakes. And they were, again, and they had marked like whether they were vanilla, chocolate, chocolate, vanilla, and vegan. The vegan ones were marked. It was friggin' amazing, and they were delicious. I only got a bite of somebody else's because I gave my box away because I wanted everybody to have one. But then I got a bite of one. Amazing.
She was so sweet. And she bought a picture that I signed. And one of the reasons I remember her name is because it was spelled in a very unique way. And we talked for a while, but I'm like, but I don't know her last name. So Cecily, if you are out there, reach out to the group, reach out to the podcast, and identify yourself once again, because these things are kind of like, it's kind of like going to a party or a nightclub. You're very quickly meeting a lot of people and learning names and shaking hands and sharing stories, and then they leave and you're like, wait, which one was the one who said the thing? And of course, again, my memory isn't what it once was. So a lot of this stuff becomes a blur pretty quick, but everyone we met there was incredibly kind. Oh, and of course, Dan Zetterstrom was there with Elena.
Oh yeah.
And they've been on the show, and they're part of the show family, and they're on the Facebook group. So they were there. It was fun to see them. They had dinner downstairs, kind of right next to us. And it that one was great because it was a room for 35 people that had 36 people.
Yeah.
So it was packed.
It was packed. I think we actually had 38 because we had 35 seats and 3 of us were sitting in the back. We're standing in the back. But the other thing that I loved about that was it was in a bookstore, and that bookstore is amazing. I got like 5 minutes to walk around the bookstore, but it was amazing. And there's a restaurant all day is what it's called in the restaurant. I mean, there's a restaurant there that's also with like a cafe outside, and there's a bar, and it's basically Richard Hatem could live there.
Yes, that has everything I need: books, food, alcohol. I'm good.
And a weird room upstairs.
And a weird room upstairs where I can perform. Yeah, and it's funny because the performance of the podcast. Here's what was interesting about all of them, and you were the one who told me to do this. I start, Susan introduces me, and then I come up, and in Washington, we had Scott introduce me. So people were very, very clear. He is here and stick around for part 2 where there'll be an interview and a Q&A and all that. But when I go up, the first thing I say is, how many of you here have never heard the podcast, don't know what it is or why you're here? And in every location, easily a third of the audience has never heard the podcast, which blows my mind. But it's because people bring a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, and a friend. And sometimes people have just sort of like, oh, I heard there was something going on here, so I figured I'd check it out. It's, sort of, paranormal themed. Easily a third of the people don't know anything. And so it's really fun to hear from them afterwards going, oh, I didn't know what this was going to be, but this is amazing. I really love it. I'm going to listen to your podcast. And I'm like, that is awesome. I'm getting new listeners. So this is all good.
And it was a sort of a testament to like, hey, people are still willing to try stuff, right? And it's so great to be in that creative space where I'm walking in, I don't know what to expect, but I hope it's good. And then it delivers. And I think that's really fabulous. Like as a theater person who has walked into many places and, gone to many and music and all that stuff, it's always great to see new stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool.
And I think this one, and I know we're not talking about the book. We're not announcing what the book is. There's a little bit of secrecy because we still want people to come and discover what the show is. But I would say this, tell me if you agree. This particular podcast episode really, in all of them, this one really does sort of feel like a one-man show, like a one-act play with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a story. Like they all have that. But this one, the book has a story about a person, and then I'm telling a story about me and you. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think it is, again, not all of the episodes have both stories weaving the same way, right? Because some of it is the books don't always have a narrative structure, the books themselves.
Right. Well, kind of like the ones that are going on right now with the National Directory of Haunted Places. All we're doing is sort of breaking up my narrative with little excerpts from the book.
But this is one, and I think it's been really cool. I think both the live podcasts, one of which we then did record and release, but the live podcasts are very much sort of the original concept of the show, which was take a book off your shelf and talk about it and tell the story of the book and interweave it with personal stories of your life.
Right.
And again, sometimes it's just different. The books lend themselves to different kinds of storytelling. But in this one, it is very much, it's a little bit weird because there's a lot of me, which is unusual.
It's very much about you and I.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those that meshes perfectly because it's like the book I was reading at the time the thing was happening. So it's like, oh, okay. So this is like, all right, the parallels are pretty clear, I think.
And it's a little weird when people come up and go, "You're my favorite character on the show."
That's right. You're a character I created, Susan. Don't you get it? And before I forget, so Scott was there. And we did a Q&A afterwards, but we didn't prepare anything. So I'm just, bringing him out and we're talking and we start talking about, I don't know, we're just talking and I'm asking about we're reminiscing about when we met. And then we pretty soon get into different experiences he's had and we get into the Sally house. And I thought, well, this is good because people know about this, but now they can hear him tell the story in person. And what I didn't realize was as he's telling it, he's becoming more and more emotional. And all of the trauma is coming back and how scary it was. And he's actually getting upset. And I'm kind of like, wait a second, I kind of figured he told the story 500 times. By now, it would just be like, oh yeah, here's what happened. Let me just run down the facts. But he was really getting into it. And then, of course, me being a genius, I then segue into his other paranormal experience, the one where he saw the ghost or had the weird experience in the steakhouse bathroom. And and of course, that has to do with a friend of his who passed away. And then he starts getting emotional about that too. Like he almost starts to cry. And then I'm like, okay, I have clearly, why am I traumatizing Scott Philbrook? That was not the intent of the show. I think it's the perfect moment to jump to our next show because another cast member appears. And that cast member is Owen, otherwise known as Dad. And so people got to meet Dad and you.
And we had some friends show up, some old friends and new friends, and Heart Bar was the one I was probably most concerned about.
Yes.
Because
me too.
We there really were no pictures of the place itself. Because the Heart Bar, it's like the Heart Bar is one building, and then on your way out of that building is where you order the food from a food window, and they give it to you. And then the next building over, when we went and scouted it the night before, it was all closed up. It was literally like the blast shields were down. And so we really did not know until we walked into the room what we were going to do or have, or what it would sound like, or whether the traffic noise on the street right there in Brooklyn was going to be too loud. It was fantastic.
It's in Bushwick, if you know various areas of Brooklyn, and Heart Bar, which is a ton of fun.
It was fabulous. Yeah.
But the whole night before, I'm like, well, wait a second. They're going to open these metal doors. And they've got outdoor seating right there on the sidewalk, and there's a street, and it's New York. And suddenly I'm like, wait a second. Like I was worried about, like bar noise, but we were away from the bar. So it's like, we don't share a wall with the bar. So music that's being pumped over the PA system, and that's not going to be a problem. But then suddenly I'm like, wait a second, we're going to be right on the street. Like, are there going to be like people yelling and drunk and screaming and partying and cars and motorcycles? And like, how is this going to work? We get down there finally the night of the show, and there's nothing we can do. I mean, if it's a problem, it's like, well, that's our problem. But we get there, and the guy lets us in, and it's perfect. It's like we have sold, because I got to tell you folks, we have sold 15 tickets.
Yeah.
And I'm
New York was lighter than I expected in some ways, but it also
it was a little lighter. It's like it'll get bigger. I think every city will get bigger, but that Wednesday night was 15 tickets, and I'm like, look, you know me. There's one ticket. I'll stand on the street corner and do a show for you. So I don't care if it's one person, 15 or 150 or 15,000. I'm there to do my thing, and I'm excited to do it. But they had told me it was a room for 40 people. So I'm like, well, we've only sold 15 tickets, so this is going to feel light. We get in that room. I am sorry. I don't know how you fit 40 people in that room unless they're all standing up and it's all one big mosh pit.
I was going to say, if it's a mosh pit and you take out all the furniture and chairs and microphones and every piece of anything in there, then maybe you could get 40 people in there.
Yeah. I'm like, I walked in there and I'm like, wait a second. I started counting chairs because there was like little chairs and tables set out. And I counted like 12. I'm like, the room looks full. Add 3 more and put 2 people in back. This room's packed. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It would have been uncomfortable putting 25 people in that room the way we do it for this show.
But anyway, it was great. And the lighting was great. And I thought, again, I was fully prepared to run sound whenever we needed to. And I was also very, very thrilled that I didn't need to.
No, because we had Aaron.
We had Aaron, who was provided by the bar, by Heart Bar. And they had a soundboard and a microphone stand, and it was perfect.
It was my New York dream. I felt like Lenny Bruce. It was a little square room with a stage tucked into the corner. And when I say a stage, I'm talking about an area 4 feet wide. It's like a stand-up comedy cellar, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It brought me back to the stand-up comedy days. And there's a microphone, and I'm on a triangular piece of wood jammed into one corner of a square room. When you close those doors, by the way, it is soundproof. We didn't hear, I feel like a bomb could have gone off. You wouldn't have heard it. It was perfect.
Wow, you really took that in a dark place, like a bomb going off.
Well, I didn't really expect a bomb. Okay, a gunshot.
Oh my God. Okay. Could we just say a car horn, a fight?
Well, let's
You
say if
wanna
a
go
person
dark?
had been stabbed and was screaming, you wouldn't have heard it.
Okay. Anyway, it was really great. I was also very, very excited that we had some friends there, that Owen was there, that one of Owen's friends was there, and that our dear friend Rob Kent came out to see us and to see
And what is it?
you.
Rob Kent is the editor of
American Theater Magazine, and he is a musician and a writer and a theater critic, and he's amazing. And we've known him since film school days. And who was it that drove down from Albany?
Oh my God. Again, Facebook fan. If you're on the Facebook group, you know him. Nicholas Casal drove for like 3.5 hours from upstate New York. There was and Dan was there. Who's, oh boy, I should get his last name. Dan, you know who you are. Dan was there. He had driven from Irvingtown, which is the home of Washington Irving and sort of the spiritual home of Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman. And he's like, look, I'm on the board of a theater there. Maybe we could figure out a way to get you down there. And I'm like, let's talk. And then Steve McDonald came down, and he's on the Facebook group, and he walked up and introduced himself. And okay, here's the funny part. But the three of them met at the bar before the show and then realized, oh, we're all here for Richard. And they spent the rest of the time talking about their love of football and the Green Bay Packers.
Just the thing to get you in the mood for Richard Adams' Paranormal Bookshelf.
They came over and they're like, oh yeah, it turns out we're all Packers fans. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Is this a sport ball thing?
But there was something very scary that happened at the very end of the evening when we were packing out.
What?
We were taking a picture, and you put your bag in the corner on a stool, and we're getting a picture taken, and I turn around, and there is a giant New York cockroach running down the wall and basically trying to leap into your bag.
It was like a cartoon character cockroach. It almost like had a top hat that it was like dancing and a cane in the other hand.
I want to do the show too.
And he comes down the wall toward my bag, and I'm like, well, my bag is there, but he's not going to go out of his way to get in my bag. Oh boy, did he.
Oh yeah. He was heading towards that bag like he was Bowie, and you had some Mentos in it.
Bowie being our dog and Mentos being the mints that he likes to eat out of my bag. Anyway, so the minute that roach took a hard right for my bag, I like kicked the stool that my bag was on. Because my brown bag, if you have ever seen me in real life, you have seen this brown bag. I carry it everywhere. It's my purse. Everything I need is in that bag. A book, there's some antacids, there's some aspirin, there's Kleenex, there's Splenda, there's ketchup packets. It's your grandma's purse, only it's mine. And I carry it everywhere. It was probably the cockroach was like, there's ketchup in here. Let's check it out. Anyway, I kick the stool, the bag falls, but then it's a little bit unclear if the cockroach fell into the bag or got away, right?
No, I got away. I watched it very carefully.
Okay, good. Thank God, because I was
Yes.
confused and I was cowering. So, yes, thank you for reminding me of our encounter with a New York cockroach. It
All
was
right.
kind of fun. It's the size of a
was fun.
chihuahua.
It was really fun. And I want to say real quick that the night before, we did something I've really never done in New York, which is we went to a restaurant and 3 bars because we were meeting Owen for dinner and we went to the restaurant that Owen told us to go to, and it was packed, and it was going to be a 40 hour and a half or some crazy amount
hour
of
and a half
time.
wait. And I was like, no, I don't do that.
All right. And Richard Hatem was getting a little bit peaked, a little bit hangry, I'd like to say. And I look on my phone trying to find a thing, and Owen was late to meet us because coming from New York. And so I was like, oh, I look on my Google, I step out, and I'm like, oh, come here. And Rich refuses to go with me because he's being a baby. And I walk down to the bar that I found that's called literally 2 doors down. And it is 2 doors down. And they're laughing and drinking and having a party, only it's actually very quiet in there. So Rich and I finally go, you have to come with me and you'll be okay. And I walk him into a bar and then he's okay. And then we waited in that bar until Owen came, had a drink there. Then Owen was like, oh, I'm going to take you to then we went and found dinner. So then we went and ate dinner at the noodle place.
Because Owen knows the places around there.
We're in the East Village. Was this East Village? Anyway, so we're walking all around. We go to dinner. It was
not the East Village, not then.
Not then. Chelsea.
Yes, I think that was it. I think that's, yes.
Have a lovely dinner, noodles, and it was great. And then they're like, oh, I know this other bar. And we're like, is it quiet? Went there, and it was lovely. It was quiet, and it was fantastic. And it was a neighborhood bar, and we met some people that were excited about the show. They didn't show up, but they were excited and took our cards. And then we're like, well, we really got to go check out Heart Bar because we've never seen it, and we got to know what we're walking into. So then we took the train to Brooklyn and with Owen, and then we got to go visit the Heart Bar. And Rich, you were the one that pointed out that we had done a restaurant and 3 bars in 4 hours.
It felt so New York. And just talking to people, like meeting someone in a bar, just starting a 45-minute conversation with them. I mean, it felt like it felt very, very New York. And then hanging out at Heart Bar, the 3 of us. And then finally it was like, okay, it's getting on to midnight. We got to wrap this up. So, but it's like, I don't know there's been a night in my life ever, much less in LA, certainly, where I'm hitting a restaurant and then separately from that restaurant, 3 bars, because you don't do that. You drive somewhere, that's your place for the night. And when you're done, you drive home. There's no, walk around the corner and then walk, a 10-minute walk to this next place. And then we'll take a train for 18 minutes and go to the next place. That obviously it doesn't happen in LA. You're not going to do that. So that was really fun. And it was great to do it with Owen. It was so great to see them and be able to let Owen be the tour guide that night. And they really were. And,
that was really fun.
It made it even more fun. So that was great. And Heart Bar went great. Talking to Dan and Steve and Nicholas was a highlight. Meeting Nora Young, and she was so nice and so excited to be there.
Yes, their coffee. She brought her boss.
And she brought her boss.
She brought her boss from the coffee place. They make espresso machines and fix espresso machines. And that was really cool.
Yeah,
that's
her
right.
boss
I was
had no
like,
idea. But apparently they take each other to their favorite live podcasts. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and she was basically like, if you want to do a show at our office, you can. And he enjoyed the show. Anyway, that was a really intimate, fun gathering. Because then we got to hang out.
We hung out there
afterwards.
a long time.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, and then we had 2 days off.
Right. So the next night we did the thing that you really wanted to do, which was to see Samuel Beckett's play, Waiting for Godot. Well, yeah, I know. When I say the title of the play, I say Godot, but in the play, they say Godot. So Waiting for Godot, starring Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. That's right, Bill and Ted.
And it was actually very good.
It was pretty great.
It was pretty great. And I did not know, I have read the play, but really didn't love it. Never seen it before, but I was like, if I should see it, it's a play I should see. And if I'm going to see it, when I saw that the tickets were available and I got to buy them at cost fairly early, thank you, Delta Amex. And then I was like, for some reason, I was like, I want to see that. And I knew we were going to New York. And I was like, honey, I did this thing. And it was
I
really
was happy
great
to go. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I love seeing theater. I love seeing theater in New York. Not dying to see Samuel Beckett. And I like Keanu Reeves, but I'm not like, and by the way, Susan, you're not, I know some women who are very into Keanu Reeves. They're just like obsessed with him more than they are with other people. You're not really one of those,
No,
though.
I'm not. I do like the Keanu memes, the sad Keanu. I was a big
Right.
fan of that meme. But yeah, I like Keanu Reeves. I like Matrix is probably my favorite Keanu Reeves. But and I've seen a John Wick, or I think just one John Wick.
Yeah.
Um, and then parts of others. But yeah, it's not like, oh my God, I have to see. But I was very curious about how Keanu Reeves would come off on stage, which I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
And Alex Winter, and I knew that one or both of them had sort of started in theater. And so I was just very curious, and I thought, well, at the very least, it'll be this novelty that isn't so like, I know Robin Williams and Steve Martin famously did it on
Yep.
Broadway, and that felt almost like stuffing bananas with bananas in some ways.
Yep.
And even
Yeah.
though I'm sure it was amazing and great to see those two on stage together, this just felt like, hey, when am I going to have a chance to see something like this again? Maybe never.
Well,
And it surpassed my expectations in a huge way. I thought the design and the set design was absolutely beautiful and very stunning, and the direction was good. I loved the cast. I thought the cast was incredibly, incredibly strong.
because it's not just the two of them. There's three other
Three
people
other.
in the show, and they are extraordinary. These are, obviously people who are on Broadway all the time. You see something like this, and you have a knowledge of Keanu Reeves, but Alex Winter's career has been less sort of high profile since then. And so, a ton of Keanu Reeves movies. Alex Winter has worked steadily, but in a way, it was an opportunity to go, okay, let's re-examine Alex Winter. Like, let's remind ourselves who he is. He was fantastic. Like, I don't know. I know he's had a great career, but I hope this has sort of pushed him even more to the forefront of people's minds when they go, oh yeah, Bill and Ted, they're both really great actors. And Keanu Reeves is a very good actor.
And here's the thing, like Alex Winter has worked consistently and done a ton of stuff. I didn't know until I was sort of looking him up before the show that he had also become a director and
Right.
directed a lot of stuff as well, which I think when you're an actor who becomes a director, both your acting and directing is informed and becomes richer for it. But it was so funny because when we got back, I wanted to watch a movie with Dashiell, and Dashiell wanted to watch a horror movie. And I was like, I don't think I can take a horror movie. And then we were scrolling through, and The Lost Boys came up, and I said I could watch The Lost Boys. And so I watched The Lost Boys with Dashiell, which he really liked.
Wait, is Keanu Reeves in that?
No, but Alex Winter is.
Oh.
And I had totally forgotten. And literally the vampire kids come down, and I'm like, it was earlier. It was before Bill and Ted. And
that's so great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. I was teaching my class.
Yeah.
Because no sooner did we get back on Sunday than on Wednesday, I'm teaching the first of my UCLA classes. And so you guys got to watch a movie while I was teaching a class. But that's okay.
Because I've also been diving back into 80s TV Ladies, which I left sadly on the table and had to get back into, and getting ready for The Flirt Bar, the musical that I doing.
And the idea that I understand, Susan, is that now that you have devoted so much time to me and my podcast, it's now October is going to be about me being supportive of you and your theater things and your podcast, and maybe taking a co-pilot position. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, honey.
Have I been doing it pretty good so far?
So far.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, back to the show.
Even though now you're on here devoting a lot of time to
devoting my
wrapping up.
Friday afternoon to this. Yes.
Okay, so we did that. Then the next night, Owen really wanted us to go to see One Battle After Another, which I think opened that night. And so we saw that. It was kind of fun. I mean, movies have kind of fallen out for us as a thing to do, but seeing that movie with a packed theater in
we were in the East Village there.
That was East Village. Was that East Village? It was the East Village. Yeah. It was East Village. That was really fun, and I enjoyed that movie. I may not be the number one Paul Thomas Anderson fan, but I enjoyed it.
Paul Thomas Anderson, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the hype for this movie has been really high, and but I liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, me too.
And enjoyed lots of sequences were really, really well done, I thought, and really interesting.
Well, I'm not even like I have a hard time with Leonardo DiCaprio because I often find that he just looks too youthful. His whole face just looks very childlike to me. So sometimes I have a hard time accepting him in various roles, but this role I loved. I thought he was great. And Sean Penn, I mean, this is just another one of those Sean Penn, embodying a character, and I thought that was great. So it was. I really liked it.
It was very good, and I liked Chase Infinity.
Oh my God, she was amazing.
Yeah, and
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. I needed way more Benicio del Toro. That was the only thing. It wasn't.
Is there ever a moment where a person doesn't need more?
No, there isn't actually. I was trying to think of a moment, but I couldn't think of when. So that was really great. I enjoyed that very much. Again, I think it was hyped too much before I saw it. So
what are you going to do?
It's been like the greatest movie that's ever been made.
But at least we walked in knowing nothing about it.
Yeah.
Which was great. And I did not know it was based on a Thomas Pynchon novel. And I did not. I mean, it was a total surprise to me. And how often do I walk into a movie nowadays not knowing really anything about it?
Yeah.
And
the popcorn was pretty good.
Well, okay. Well, there you go.
So
we saw that, but then the next night turned out to be the final night of the tour, Center Reach, Long Island, at the home of Leo and Janice Bartoldus. And I got to tell you guys, we really did not know what we were walking into here. We could have been walking into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, walking into someone's home. We don't know.
And we had to drive an hour and 40 minutes.
Pretty
to
much.
Get there.
Yeah. And then stop on the way to get the ingredients for the Richard Hatem cocktail that I made entitled Vampire Blood. It was really a cosmopolitan.
And we had to get some snacks. It was, and we didn't know where we were going. And, so it was like a little bit, that was a higher stress, right? At least with the bar, like we're in New York and we can, if this is a disaster, we can go next door and have a drink. And
but you're going into someone's home and you never know. It's like, are we really imposing on them? Like they were so generous and clearly we're so happy to host this event. But at the same time, look, they've got a lot on their plate right now. And we got to talk to them. They got a lot on their plate. Having us there was definitely just adding more to an already filled plate. And they did it. I mean,
but they loved it. Like they were thrilled to host us. And that was very clear from the minute we got there. And what was funny is we pull up and there's these like kids, the 20 somethings, they could have been 16. They look pretty young, but, and there's one sort of like wearing regular clothing kid. And then there's someone dressed as a scary clown. And while I knew in theory that there's a haunted house in their backyard, I hadn't really counted on there being a bunch of scary clowns around, which is what ended up happening.
Right. Yes. It was very weird. I did at one point, I was like, okay, look, we have announced where we're going to be. If we're murdered tonight, there's going to be a lot of clues. So I was like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be a fine, come on. This is the people know where we are. We have not, gone to a location where people are not able to follow us. But we walk in, yes, there's scary clowns. And I'm like, okay, so I have to go. I'm in the home of somebody else. I'm immediately asking them, do you have a pitcher for me to make my cocktail? And oh, we forgot cups. And oh my God, they were like, we have cups. We have a pitcher. Calm down, Richard. It's going to be fine. We're making bowls of chips. We go into a room in their house. I think it's their den. I think it's where they watch TV. Yeah. And they've emptied the room. They've like taken all the furniture out and set up folding chairs so that this is the performance room.
There's 30 chairs in there. And thank you so very much. There's a microphone stand and amplifier in the room.
It's crazy.
It's perfect.
No one who has this, but they have this.
And meanwhile, in the backyard, you're hearing all these screams and creepy noises and owl
weird
hooting,
music. Yeah.
Weird music. And that's where their haunted house is.
So we arrive and we're like, okay, I've got to get drinks set up and snacks. Susan is like, okay, what's the room? How does the lighting work in this room that can sort of separate the audience from Rich, even though we're in a room in someone's house? And there's a table set up and we're trying to set up merch. And meanwhile, they're getting ready for this haunted house because not only is the audience for the podcast showing up, but also neighbors of theirs and friends of theirs and family members and stuff. And so there's a number of people and they're still getting it ready. And I'm like, well, what's to get ready? It's just you flick on the lights, you go through. I had no idea. This was a more elaborate haunted house. When I was talking about it with them, they were downplaying it because they wanted it to be a surprise. It was 10 times bigger and longer. I think there had to be at least 15 dedicated rooms and tableaus that you move through in their backyard.
And they're very elaborate tableaus. It's not, and they change it up every year. That's what's even more crazy is they change things and it really, like we live in Los Angeles. We live in Los Angeles. Hold on. We live in Los Angeles. There are special effects professionals throughout this entire city. There are writers and creative types and decorators, and they throw haunted houses. There are personal haunted houses that pop up all over Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's professional special effects people who spend their career doing this. Now they're doing it in their home, right?
Yeah, this surpassed them all.
Yes.
Surpassed them all.
And okay, let me put it this way. There was an elevator. Now, you're going through the haunted house. It's called haunted hallways. So you're moving through these constructed, really narrow passageways that they've built, obviously. And you get to, and there's a really scary clown sort of walking in front of you backward, beckoning you forward. So you know kind of where you're supposed to go.
Where to go. Because there's a couple places where you can get lost. We went the wrong way immediately.
I don't know how you get lost in something that has been constructed so that even like a wild pig could get through and not get lost. We got lost. Anyway, you get to a point where there's an elevator and the elevator doors open and they beckon you inside. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how there's an elevator in their backyard. This can't be real. You get in, the elevator door shuts, and then the thing drops and starts to shake and the lights go out and things happen and it's constantly moving to the point where you're like, wait a second, is there an elevator? Honestly, the illusion worked for me.
And by the way, it's the Shining elevator. So like, that's the part you like, as soon as you walk up to it, you're like, this is the Shining elevator. You get on, the doors close, and the back of the doors say red rum and in blood. and then again, it sounds and moves, feels like the elevator is moving. And I thought I had it all figured out until the drop. And there's literally a drop of like, I don't know, 12 inches, 6 inches. It legit scary drop. And And then
But it feels like you have traveled a distance. I'm like, well, theoretically, I don't know. There could be a second level to this because once you're inside and
you
their
really don't
backyard
know
is
where
large and it's sloped, so you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe they've found a way to bring you to a lower level. Anyway, here's the weird thing though. The door opens and you're in a different location. So you're not in the same hallway. It's not like, oh, we shake you up and then you just get back. You go and it opens up and you're like, well, what is
this is different. Yeah.
So then
And then
you're really like, okay, I guess we did go to a second level.
Okay. But we did not. We found out the secret later. And we got a backstage tour of the whole thing. It takes like it basically looks like it takes like 6 people to run this thing.
Yeah.
So there's 2 scary clown guides. There's some scary clowns in the middle of it. Then there's one person working the elevator. I'm not going to tell you how. And then there's 2 people in the control booth, which is in their backyard play structure. And literally looks like a Keanu Reeves Matrix setup. It's got cameras everywhere. They're tracking everyone that walks through that whole place in every single room and knowing who's going where when and changing lights and sounds as needed.
Yeah, they're tracking you as you go through. There's a camera in every single location and in every hallway. So they're like, okay, so now they're moving. They're about to encounter this. Start that, because you go into these environments where things happen. Lights are going on and off. Air is blasting at you. Special effects, furniture shaking, and it feels like it's going to fall on you. I mean, it's elaborate.
Yeah. It was crazy. There was an exorcist room.
There was an exorcist, which apparently is brand new. And it looked, again, like, okay, I don't know how you figured this out, but they've got, and then you're in an insane asylum with people. I mean, it's very strange. And I kept thinking, well, this has got to be the last room. There's no way. There's no room in a backyard for more than this. And it kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. Finally, we got out of it. And the last thing you do is you come out into a sort of an outdoor area. And this was new this year. For us, a giant winged humanoid looming over you in a tree with glowing red eyes, Mothman, greets you at the end. And
it was great.
Beautiful.
It was really, really amazing.
And then Janice came up and said, okay, come with me. I'm going to take you around. I'll show you kind of how we do things. And then we got the backstage tour.
Yeah.
This was crazy. Now
everybody who wanted to, who came to the show, got to go through the haunted house. I think one person declined because they were claustrophobic, and they started and then went to the scary clown. Wait, is it this tight the whole way? And the scary clown nodded silently, yes. And then she's like, does it get even tighter? And he was silently, yes. And she's like, I'm out. So it was, and then after everybody went through and we had drinks and snacks, we all went into the room. Rich did a show. It was fantastic. It was really unique and really cool.
Well, it was funny. It was the first time I've done a show because we started much later because it took a minute for everyone to get through, but it was sort of like everyone's at a party. Everyone's eating snacks and chatting with each other and looking at the Ed and Lorraine Warren replica museum.
Trying the tilt room. We didn't even talk about the tilt room.
There's a tilt. There's an entire room built on a 45-degree angle or something that you can I don't know, that to me, it felt like they were pumping gas in there. I was so dizzy and it was weird. But if you can get to the far end of the room and ring the bell, that's like the goal. That one was a mind fuck. And, but I liked it, but I didn't want to be in there too long. Anyway, because I wanted to get out and drink. But we get in there and we're starting late. And then it's like, oh, we got to get started right away. And I'm like, why? And it's like, oh, because some of the people need to catch a ferry. And I'm like, what? And it's like, oh, yeah, no, some people, they got to take the last ferry back. So the show, they got to get out of here so they can go catch the ferry, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. There were people that drove 5 hours from New Hampshire to see the show. They were friends of the daughter, I think, and of Janice's daughter, Janice and Leo's daughter, and worked with her. So they came to see the show, and then they were taking the ferry back to Connecticut, which was going to cut 2 hours off their drive back. So they were staying the night, I think, in Connecticut or something. It's so crazy. Like, you forget how compact the Northeast is, and
But
and
I
that
was
there's like, but it was crazy.
and people traveling hours to see the live podcast. I mean, I again send out a huge thank you to all of you who worked that hard to get to where I was. I really appreciate it. And, anyway, we did the show. It was really fun. I think that one went very well. And again, it was a packed house because it was everyone who bought a ticket plus all the kids who worked the haunted house, and some neighbors and just some people who were coming by to the party. It was a packed room.
And then we hung out afterwards, and people told their personal paranormal experiences.
Oh, that's right.
And we got magic show from Janice's son.
Oh my God, Henry.
Henry did the most amazing close-up card magic I have ever experienced. And I've been to the Magic Castle like 5 times.
This was totally Magic Castle level magic that this guy was doing. And he's like, I don't know, he looks like he's about 19.
I think
Sure,
he's
in his
20.
20s. Yeah, I think he's in his mid-20s, but he's got those big articulated magician hands. So you just know he has spent 10,000 hours manipulating decks of cards. And it was astounding. This guy, if you're looking for a close-up magician, Center Reach, Long Island, Henry Bartoldus, get this guy. He's amazing. Anyway, so kind. We hung out. Leo started making me gin and tonics. He would have fed me gin and tonics all night. I got out of there with my life, just barely. But man, does that guy make a good gin and tonic. We sold a mug, I think, 1 mug. We didn't sell a ton of merch there, but that's kind of not. By then, we're like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Owen was there, so Owen introduced me. Everyone, they went up there and did a little dad. They're like, thank you for coming here to see my dad. And I mean, that's that's a big moment when a dad introduces you.
The whole thing was very special. Every spot was like really unique and special and wonderful in its own way. It was really an incredible experience. I mean, we haven't even talked about Dallas. We sort of did a one-off in Dallas to kind of kick the wheels on the whole thing. And that was
the out-of-town preview.
Yeah, the out-of-town preview. And that was amazing. It was so great to meet everybody. Such an incredible, listenership. Like, I think we have incredible fans at 80s TV Ladies, and you have incredible fans at Richard Adams Paranormal Bookshelf. People are amazing. It was a good, heart-filling thing to be doing across the country right now. For me, it reminded me that we have a beautiful country and beautiful people in it, and storytelling and connection and community are extremely valuable right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were all over the country and in, everywhere from West Virginia to New York. And it was, obviously there were no political conversations, which is probably good. But when you realize that without that, we were just talking about our lives and the things we care about, and people were sharing stories about their lives and how the show touches them, but also experiences they've had, and then just talking about their lives, just talking about where they're from, what they do, and it was there was not a sour note the entire time. It was so great to really meet listeners and find out what people care about. And people enjoyed the show. I enjoyed doing it. Susan, you produced the hell out of it. It was a resounding success, and it makes us want to do more. I swear to God, I would be doing this every week, every month if I could. It's not physically possible because it takes so much time to find places. But now that you guys are reaching out and saying, hey, I know of a place, Now, all you got to do is make sure that, 15 of your friends show up and buy tickets, and then we can actually do it. But
well, and I think we also like have to line them up, right? Like, because there's some travel costs that we have to figure out how we're covering.
Well, and the other thing is, if I can connect it to a thing like the Mothman Festival, if there's a cryptid con or a Bigfoot con or a horror con or some sort of big thing where it's like, oh, if I can go there and get a fee, then that at least covers a chunk. And then it's like, okay, so that sort of pushes us forward. We know we're not,
It's a good anchor. It means that we don't have to
risk losing money by going on the road. And then hopefully some of the, the various venues sell enough tickets and enough VIP tickets. And God bless you if you buy a VIP ticket. It makes it possible. It makes it possible to do. So we're going to do it more. There's going to be something in the spring. We're definitely going to be back at Mothman next year. If they ask me back, and I think they will, hope they will. And then maybe we go the other way. Maybe we do sort of head west from West Virginia and do a little bit of Ohio and Chicago and St. Louis and sort of
Pittsburgh, maybe. I don't know.
Pittsburgh, but more of a Midwest run. So if you're out there and you know of places and you've got some ideas and you think something might be ideal, definitely reach out through the website and let us know. I thought I was going to be tired. I thought I was going to lose my voice. I thought I was going to get sick. I thought my feet were going to hurt. I thought my back was going to go. None of that happened because I was so excited to be doing it. It was enlivening. I had more energy at the end of the tour than I had at the beginning. So we're ready to come to your town. Just reach out through the website. Let us know what the possibilities in your hopefully large city that can attract people. But it doesn't have to be that large, because guess what? New York was not our biggest town. Washington, D.C. worked out. I think we had Baltimore people and we had people traveling distances. Anyway, it was great. We appreciate it. And we're excited to do more, and we're going to do more.
And so thank you to everybody who hosted us, especially the Bartolduses. Especially the Bartolduses.
Janice and Leo.
Especially Janice and Leo. They were amazing. But their whole family, like that.
Yes.
That felt like a family gathering.
It really did. I felt like we were at a family party with their friends, their neighbors, their kids.
And our friends and neighbors and kids
because Owen was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was an incredible way to end the tour. Like, we got home, it was pretty late and we had to get up pretty early to fly back, but it was very satisfying flying back. It felt like we really had accomplished a lot and done a lot and had highlights from every moment on the tour.
And most importantly, we'd sold enough merch to consolidate into only 2 suitcases and 1 box.
Well, no, 2 suitcases each and 1 box that Owen is shipping us.
Well, no, but I'm talking about but that was filled with our stuff, not merch. The merch was consolidated into 2 suitcases.
2 suitcases and 1 box. You're right. That is correct.
So we do have some, and I will let you guys know how to get the Mothman merch that isn't available in our store. Anything that's not available through the website where you buy merch, we're going to figure out a way to get it to you if you would like it. Okay. So we'll figure it out. And it might just be emailing me and saying, can you please send me 2 extra large Mothman shirts? And then we'll figure out a way.
The producer in me is not enjoying this.
Well, okay, then we'll do something. Susan will tell me what to say and then I'll say it. Okay. That's how we should do it. All right. And that is our wrap up. Thank you guys for sticking with us through all of it. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed the trip, and we will come to a city near you soon. And Susan, thank you for supporting me and supporting the podcast and supporting the tour and organizing it so much. It would not have been possible at all without you. So thank you. And I love you.
Thank you very much. And I love you too. And it was a very cool adventure. for us to do together. I was unsure at some points that it was a good idea. Or before we really started was when I was mostly unsure. And then, but I'm so glad we did it. It was an incredible thing. I think we can keep doing it. I hope we can keep doing it. And we just got to make sure we don't lose money.
That's all right. You know, we'll go out in a blaze of glory. All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Be well and find the light in the dark, and we'll see you again soon. There you have it, the Light in the Dark Tour Part 2. All right, and guess what? It is not over because we are going to keep doing this show on the road. I can tell you because you guys have reached out. So get ready, Tucson, Arizona. Get ready, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're going to do Chicago. We're doing Minneapolis. We're going to do Cleveland. We're going to do St. Louis. We're doing Pittsburgh. We're doing Philadelphia. All of these are coming up in calendar 2026, plus more. We're going to get the dates and the places nailed down, but we're already making plans because you guys have reached out with locations and opportunities, and you've made it really easy, and you've made it impossible to say no. So get ready. This show will be coming to a city near you soon. We'll see you then.